What's up, everybody? It's an unlisted video here on, what is it, Tuesday? Tuesday, April 23rd. Got a bunch of emails. Everyone's kind of excited, I'm sure, about a lot of the algorithms because they're doing well. I don't make a living off of doing this. I'm actually down money over the last year, like a lot of money betting. Even all the money I've sold in algorithms minus all I've lost, I'm down like over $20,000. So I definitely don't make a living doing this. It would be great if I got my betting in order and started making money and doing this for a living. But I was working today, so like manual labor, working hard, clearing out house, going to the dump, like speaking Spanish to everybody around the house, working like so. A bunch of emails I didn't respond to at a certain point because I'm working. Anyway, it's 4:45 and now I'm done. I'm tired as hell, but I'm done working. So let's talk about games. We're going to do all three sports that we're following today in this video. We'll start with hockey. I mean, unfortunately, pick of the day is the Rangers over my Capitals. I have to agree with this. Caps have no offense. Makes me want to make bets like under 2.5 goals for the Caps. I'm thinking of betting on the Rangers to win because that's the only way the Caps will win with my luck. Um, the under is always the good play. The under 5.5. They'll probably start lowering this to under 5 by the end of the series because just not going to see a lot of goals out of the Caps. So Rangers probably win. The line is consistent with that though at minus 275. So definitely the game I'm watching tonight. But the best thing to do is probably the under there. Tampa Bay and Florida, once again, Florida barely to win. They are a really good team this year. Tampa Bay will fight them hard though, so I wouldn't be surprised if either team wins that game. Colorado and Winnipeg erupted for 13 goals or something in the first game. Colorado is not going to go down. They need to decide what they're going to do with Georgiev because Georgiev, something's wrong with him. And you can see that Colorado is able to put up a bunch of goals, even on a great goaltender like Hellebuyck, because their offense is just out of control. It's an exciting bet to take an over in this game because they're just so explosive. And as long as Georgiev is playing, there's a good chance you're going to hit the over because Colorado's going to give up goals with him in net. So I'm tempted to play the over 6 in that game, and I'm rooting for Colorado, but notice the line is it's basically even money on either one of those teams. So that's also a great game to watch, which will happen after the Caps game. Now, not down here, the one thing of interest, I saw that Vancouver is starting Casey DeSmith instead of Thatcher Demko. DeSmith has a lower rating. I wonder if Demko is hurt or whether they're deciding to split goalies there or what they're doing. But while this still slightly favors Vancouver, it doesn't favor them in projected score anymore, and that's because of the goalie change. So Saros, a better goalie than DeSmith, in playoffs, defense goaltending obviously matter. So if Nashville pulls off an upset today against DeSmith, this is the night they would do it. So there is a reasonable line on that Nashville line, empirically, even though Vancouver is better. But hockey's hockey, and it's always a gamble in hockey. It's just fun to watch. And no, I don't think anybody makes money betting on hockey. I really don't. Now, let's go to basketball. Nuggets come back to win at the buzzer last night to keep everything perfect. How perfect does it look? It looks like this from the 19th through the 22nd, 13-0 with 1, 2, 3 underdogs. So what about today? Notice the very reasonable lines today. Look at this. Minus 146 for the number one pick, which is the Timberwolves. They've got an 8% margin and everybody's healthy. That's a good pick. Bucks against the slightly injured Pacers. Who's injured on the Pacers? Who's injured? Indiana. Somebody's out for the season on Indiana is what the situation is there. So everybody else is healthy. So you can almost kind of call them 100% health because the person who's out was out for the season, unless they just recently went out for the season. So that's a really good line at minus 115, although, whoops, not baseball yet. Go back to the NBA. The margin is only 1%, but it does favor the Bucks. So that you can't say no to that line. And then the Clippers over the Mavericks here, the margin's really close. The line is actually a little worse, and the Mavericks are probably missing one guy or have a game time decision for one guy. So Timberwolves and Bucks pretty solid here. Clippers, if we continue on our run and we get lucky again, the Clippers are going to win this game. So yeah, you've got 3 picks. I don't know how you say no to the NBA algorithm. Like eventually it'll lose a game, but might not be tonight. So those 3 probably go on there. I'm probably going to take them. You know, there you go. So that's NBA. Baseball. We have 15 games today. We're going back to combination 488. If you didn't do a ton of research and you just glanced at the list, first of all, we've got something scary. I don't know if Kansas City is the pick of the day yet because we're going to go over all the matchups. I haven't done it yet. We're going to do it in this video. It says of right now that they're pick of the day, but we'll find out as we go through the list. Everything over, there's a lot over 10% margin, and there's also a few games over 20% margin. So you've got Kansas City, Baltimore, the Dodgers over the Nats, and Tampa Bay over Detroit today, all at over 20% margin. 3 of these lines are pretty bad. And then you've got the underdog in Kansas City. Then your next, tranche, or what's the good word for that? Oh gosh, I can't even remember my language right now. There's another good word for chunks of games. We'll call it some part, but whatever. These 10% games, St. Louis, Miami over Atlanta at a huge underdog line, Seattle, San Diego, and Boston. And then your toss-up games are Milwaukee, Oakland, Cubs, Cincinnati, Minnesota, San Francisco. At least we're not favoring the White Sox today. Watch them win. All right. So, basically these 4, when I look at the algorithm and I judge profitability up top, I'm going to be looking at these 4 games and where we are after those 4 games. If that's profitable, the algorithm's probably had a good day. And also, if we're profitable after 10%, down here, the algorithms also had a very good day, essentially. So let's look game by game and see what we're doing here. Boston and Cleveland. Early game, I think there's rain potential in Cleveland. Ben Lively only 5 innings pitched, but they're okay. Tanner Houck pitching great. Wow, underdog line for Boston there with their good bullpen. Yeah, that's playable. Says they win a low scoring game because the ERAs are low here. Over under set at 8, but there is a rain situation. So Boston to win, tentatively a pretty good pick. Philly and Cincinnati. Notice now we're favoring Cincinnati today at an underdog line. Andrew Abbott, good pitcher. Christopher Sanchez, good pitcher. Bullpen's better for Philadelphia. Lineup for Philadelphia is not as high as it should be. They're both 1 and 2, but they're both pitching really well. How interesting. Close game. I mean, it's the 13th pick. It's one of those straight bet might be okay. But it's super close. So it's in that range of it could go either way. So even though you get an underdog line here, you probably win in the long run with a bet like this because you're getting plus 114 on Cincinnati. So if they win half the time, you make money because it's a plus 114 line, but they're not going to win every day. So it's not a round robin or a parlay pick. Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. The only pitcher that's did not have pro stats is Tobias Myers, making his first start today for Milwaukee. He's pitched very well so far in AAA this year. Excellent even. Bailey Falter is a decent pitcher for Pittsburgh. According to AAA stats, Milwaukee wins this game at a reasonable line, but once again, it's your career debut for Tobias Myers, so maybe Milwaukee, but it's not even an underdog line. It's toss-up game, but it's one of those where the algorithm might win, might not, but it does say Milwaukee. Dodgers are on there as a pick, 8-1 because Corbin is pitching against Paxton. Minus 210. Yeah. The Dodgers are probably going to win this game. Yeah, Paxton good. Corbin lets in runs. So, I mean, there's enough strength there to almost call the Dodgers pick of the day material, but they're minus 210 is the problem. So Dodgers team runs on the road. It says Dodgers were home. Wait a minute. Did I read that wrong? I thought the Dodgers were home. No, they're away. All right. So, yeah, Dodgers team runs, Dodgers to win, even Dodgers covering are all good picks. And there's a part of me that wants to make it the pick of the day, but we're not going to do that. We're going to keep going. Detroit and Tampa Bay. Here's Tampa Bay winning 7-3. Kenta Maeda not pitching well this year. 17 innings pitched, 7.64 ERA. Tampa Bay only minus 160 in this situation. Brian Pepiot pitching okay. Says there's going to be runs in this game. Look at this over-under set at 7.5 to 8, and it's predicting 10.5 runs in a dome in Tampa Bay. The over is a play here, and Tampa Bay to win is a play here. Yankees and Oakland. Oakland shocks them yesterday. Why are there no runs in this game? Why is this a 3-1 game, 3-2 game? Because Paul Blackburn's going. He's pretty good against Stroman, who's also good. That's why there's no runs in this game. Interesting. Look at it favoring Oakland. Gosh, boy, I talk trash about Oakland. They're moving to Sacramento. Apparently, they're happy about moving to Sacramento. You got an enormous late hit yesterday. Blackburn is a pitcher you kind of want to go with. Your Oakland plus 1.5 in a game that's not supposed to have any runs like this is another option as well. Yankees aren't hitting that great. And the line factor is only 2.4. It's not excellent. Oakland's catching up. So it's an 11th pick, so the game goes either way, but that's a great line for Oakland, and Oakland plus 1.5 is actually reasonable. It's reasonable enough because they're on the road, and when a home team wins, sometimes they only win by 1 the way the game plays out. So Oakland plus 1.5 kind of going on a round robin for me today, and maybe the little straight bet on Oakland just because. And the under also, under 8 runs. This is going to be 4 runs in this game. Miami and Atlanta, another underdog out of the algorithm. Trevor Rogers, 0-2. Max, why are we going against Max Fried? Because he has a 7.71 ERA so far this year, even though he's 1-0. Weird. Just weird. There's so much weirdness going on in this game. It's because we're heavily weighted on whip and an ERA and not as much on lineup factor. I mean, other combinations would push Miami further down. As a matter of fact, let's look at the average of all combinations, which show up over here. Where is Miami on here? They're not. Look at that. See, Atlanta is on the macro average list, whereas Miami is on this list. So we almost should highlight teams that are not on the macro average list. So that shows you that with a lot of other combinations, Atlanta is actually favored. Even more of a reason to stay away from this. It's just an artifact of our combination string that we're using here, which has been done better than average, but there are reasons to stay away from Miami, even what this is doing here. So we'll stay away from Miami, given Max Fried probably doesn't pitch this bad also. He's just had a rough start. Houston and the Cubs. Yeah, we're starting to favor everybody against Houston. Cubs, look at the ERAs in this game. Yeah, of course the over-under is set at 10.5. Is the wind blowing out in Chicago? Great question. Says there's going to be over 11 runs in this game. Makes a lot of sense that there will be a lot of runs in this game. Unfortunately, the over-under is already set at 10.5. Cubs at an underdog line. I mean, Houston's not winning games. I think that's worthy of a straight bet. It's all the way down as the 12th pick, but it's reasonable. Somebody's gonna maybe if they don't get a decision, they might get a win. If they do get a decision, they might get a win. But yeah, lots of runs and probably Chicago, but not a top tier pick, but a pick nonetheless. Now let's look at this Toronto, Kansas City situation. Is this our pick of the day? The line is great for a pick of the day at plus 105. 9-2, the Gaussman. Yes, Gaussman. This is a why. Great reputation for Gaussman this year, not living up to it. 0-2, 8 ERA. If Kansas City can get off the schneid with their hitting over the last few days, they've really been blanked against Baltimore and Toronto. This might be the day to do it, or does Gaussman outpitch them because they're not hitting well in the last few days? You're not supposed to pay too much attention to recent streaks. I used to add that in as a stat, was recent streaks. It was iffy. It wasn't great because you always have different pitchers going. So on like that 5-day rotation. Michael Wacha is a pretty good pitcher though. He's 1-2 though. BABIP's the same. Bullpen ERA is favoring Kansas City. Runs per game. Everything else. Is there a stat here that favors Toronto? No. no, 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 tied BABIP, no, and no. There isn't a stat here where Toronto's better than Kansas City, and Kansas City is number one at a 105 line. I have to do it. As much as I'm scared because they haven't been playing well, algorithm don't lie. And we want to be, I want to make it so this is an automated program where you run it and you look at the top of the list, and what's on the top of the list, if it's a reasonable line, is your pick of the day. So we're going for it, and Kansas City is the pick of the day today. Go Royals. Get ready for that. Next, White Sox and Minnesota. Close game. Much closer than the line says. Eric Freddie, an okay pitcher, so is Pablo Lopez. Eric Freddie's actually 1-0. Both of these lineup factors are terrible. Both of them. But the bullpens are just such a weird situation where the pitching's terrible, but the hitting's terrible. Minnesota made no doubt about it because the White Sox are awful. I'm not paying minus 275 for Minnesota. It's way down here. I'm a masochist, and I might even bet the White Sox +1 just because this 235 line is insane. I know they're awful, but it's because I talked trash about them yesterday. That's why this line happened, guys. I'm sorry. Anyway, I don't know. We should just stay away from the White Sox until they give us a reason to do something. Arizona and St. Louis. St. Louis 7-3. Steven Matz, good pitcher. Tommy Henry's ERA is high, and his WHIP is pretty high. Matz is high. His WHIP is pretty high too. There's some conflicts in BABIP and lineup factor, and Arizona was a weird game yesterday. Gives a huge margin to St. Louis at 18% though. They're only minus 135. They won last night. They're kind of getting into their own. They are a baseball town. It's the 5th pick. It's not a bad line for a 5th pick, so St. Louis has kind of got to be on there. All right, St. Louis has got to be on there. Seattle and Texas, 5-2 Seattle. Both lines are about even. Logan Gilbert is apparently excellent. Excellent pitcher. Let me see if he can pitch. Dane Dunning, not bad himself. Lineup factor favors Texas. Bullpen ERA favors Seattle. Kind of a mixed bag over here. 9 runs, but boy, why does it say Seattle holds Texas? It's because of Logan Gilbert, and he also seems to go almost 7 innings a game, folks. So this is one of those where if you want to get creative, Seattle in the first 5 innings might be a play here because it looks like Logan Gilbert will definitely go 5 innings the way he's been running. And he holds teams to very few runs. So it likes the under in this game, and potentially Seattle's a 7 pick. It's minus 110. It's not awful, but Texas isn't bad either. It's tough, but just read what the algorithm's saying. Algorithm's saying under, algorithm's saying Seattle. So there you go. San Diego, Colorado, our pick of the day yesterday. Again, they should win. Michael King going, he's pitching well. Ryan Felter pitching for a Colorado pitcher, kind of San Diego's lineup factor pretty good. Only minus 148, 13% margin, showing a three-run deficit. Similar to yesterday, San Diego probably wins this game. King seems to be good enough. San Diego probably on there. Baltimore, 8-1 or 8-0 over Griffin Canning with his monster ERA. Grayson Rodriguez is 3-0, pitching excellent. This is also only minus 165. It's actually not bad. There's a lot to play today. And then we finish off. So Baltimore's on there, and the Mets blew it. They didn't really come back. They lost by a few yesterday. This is too close to call. It says too close to call. And there's no great line here, so this is just way too close. The over/under 7, and I don't know what's going on there. All right. So in summary, we do have Kansas City as the pick of the day. All right, the pick of the day. We have really other strong picks on here though as well. And I wouldn't throw all your money on Kansas City simply because they just haven't been hitting well the last few days, but they do have to be the pick of the day because that's the way we're reading the algorithm today, and it makes sense. Baltimore is also supposed to win. Everything on here, these 5 are looking good. I would expect to see profitability after these 5. I would expect to see, I feel like this is a 4-1 day on these 5 games, if not 5-0. We'll probably be 4-1 with Kansas City losing. No, don't say that. Don't say that. Yeah, so these look really good. Miami we're staying away from. Seattle looked okay. San Diego looked okay. Boston looked okay. AAA pitcher for Milwaukee. Oakland plus 1.5 for fun. I'm taking the White Sox because I hate my life. Cubs are also supposed to win. And this game was too close to call, I think, with the Cincinnati Philadelphia. Yeah, it's too close, too close. There is a ton of games to play on here. And there was also an under in one of those games. It was the under in two of them. It was an under in this. No, actually, this is a AAA pitcher, though. It was really the under down in that Seattle game, right? Yeah, the Seattle, Texas was an under. And was it Oakland and the Yankees, maybe an under? Supposed to be hardly any runs in that game. Yeah, there was those two look like reasonable unders. So let's go Royals. Let's go Caps. Let's go Caps. Let's go all the basketball games, see if they'll win. And this looks like a reasonable day for baseball. So we'll see what happens. All right. Good luck. May all of your picks be winning, everybody. Good luck.